Well, a good day to you. It is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie getting underway here on EWTN Radio. As you probably know, I'm Jerry Usher, and she is Debbie Georgiani, and you are you, and you're the one who makes the program what it is. So, Debbie, we ought to have a good conversation today with our topic.
We've had a great week. I just love all the comments that have been coming in, the emails. We love our Take Two family. You guys are awesome. Thank you so very much for your high level of participation with all the topics that we introduced. Today, we are asking the question, is yours a happy home? Okay. Our homes are at the domestic church, the smallest body of believers are in the home. That is the faithful right there in the home. And is your home filled with peace and joy and fun and excitement? Oh yes, of course, mixed with tears, though that's everyday life. But you know what? Is it a place of refuge? Is it a place where people feel that it's like a safety net? They can come home to rest and to be themselves and to grow and to learn. Or is your home filled with, some tension, and there's things you want to do to change that? Let's talk about it. Okay, we don't want to really get into the extreme, as cases of when a home can really be disruptive or dangerous. We're not schooled for that. We're not therapists or counselors for that. But we're talking about kind of, how do you say it, Jerry? Kind of the run-of-the-mill families, right?
Garden variety, yeah. And
Garden
sometimes
variety.
I feel like we could be therapists sometimes. But you and I both love them so much. But yeah, not Nirvana, not what am I trying to say? Not Leave It to Beaver, not the perfect sort of all-American TV family TV thing. But yeah, as Debbie laid out very beautifully there, what do you do to keep harmony in the family? If arguments break out, how do you resolve those? Do you have rules, regulations, ways in which all of the family contributes to the overall maintenance of a happy home? That's what we want to talk about today.
So the number to dial is 1-833-288-EWTN. Again, that's 833-288-3986. But don't wait. Don't wait till the second half of the show, because our phone lines do fill up quickly, and that's a good thing. But Jerry and I, we just get so bummed out because we can't get to everybody. So if you have something to say about this topic, please call in quickly. Now, and here's how it works. You're going to call in, you're going to speak to Ryan, and he's just delightful to talk to. Everybody brags about him and says they wish that they could have him as a son. I mean, he's just amazing. Okay, you're going to chat with him. He's going to put you on hold. You get to listen live, so you can jump right in to seamlessly add to this conversation. Just pretend like we're in your living room with a nice cool drink or a cup of coffee, and we're just sitting there having a great conversation. And it really is, it just organically unfolds. We know that because we've been doing it for almost 4 years, and it's exciting to see what we learn at the end of this conversation. So if you feel that tug in your spirit, do something about it. Make a call at 833-288-3986.
Always keeping in mind that what you share on the program is really a learning moment for us and for so many people who might be listening. There are a lot of unhappy homes around the world today, in our own neighborhoods, maybe even your own right now. Maybe you're wondering, it's just chaos in my home. There's no happiness, no joy. What can I do to bring that about or maybe restore that? Again, Debbie and I were not experts on that, but we both live in homes and we grew up in families, so we've had our own experiences. So here's the number again. It's 833-288-3986. We'd love to have you weigh in on this topic because you are the ones who drive the program each and every day.
And I just want to share something about that, Jerry. Being in religious education for many years, the kids and the teens used to come into the classroom during the week, and they would share things that happened in their homes, and they would say things like, my dad, he doesn't really compliment me a lot and stuff like that, and I'll tell you what, it's hurtful to the children because, especially a young girl, Jerry, it's very important. The first relationship, to learn how to be in a relationship, especially as, to get married and stuff like that, they learn from how their father treats them. It's very important. And kids used to come home. They used to come to the classroom all the time and say, my dad's always, criticizing me or this or that. And then I've also heard it said that the same-sex parent has the most influence on the child. I've heard that as well, from a psychological standpoint. But Jerry, it's very true. We learn about relationships in the in the safety and in the home and the family. And it's very important that we demonstrate, I believe anyway, a real Christ-like attitude in the home and not to just let it be a free-for-all. Would you agree with that, Jerry?
Oh, by all means. I think especially in today's world with so many pressures on kids and young people and on parents too, trying to, be the breadwinners and bring home the bacon and raise the kids to be virtuous and godly and to live the faith and keep the seeds of the faith that you plant growing in their lives, throughout their entire lives. So, yeah, today's world, it's maintaining a happy home, may be a little bit more, it certainly got unique challenges, let's put it that way. So, we got a lot of calls coming in right now, and looks like we have room for at least, I think, 2 more people. So we're going to get to your calls in a few minutes. But you will get right through, and you will get on the program. 833-288-3986 is the number.
Speaking about family, we are a family on Take Two. So, guys, don't forget to make sure you find us on Facebook, Jerry and Debbie, and like us on Facebook, because we're definitely going to be doing the after show starting next month. And that's very exciting because then we don't have to do a part 2, part 3 like we did this week. We can have an after show and get into some really the details of conversations that we really couldn't do on the air. So, folks, don't forget to like us, Jerry and Debbie, on Facebook. But also, we're talking about your family today. Is it a happy home? Let's talk about that. And if it's not, let's talk about ways we can make it a happy home today. Start today. There's no time like the present. This is very, very important. This discussion is very timely right now because we live in kind of, Jerry and I were just talking about, a little bit of a crazy world. So let's get it back on track and focused on God. Call in 833-288-3986.
Yeah, and along those lines, love to hear how you bring God and Jesus and the faith and the saints and the sacraments into your home to make it a happier home. Because, Debbie, I can, like I said, today's world has just got so many threats to the family and so many threats to home life, which is the domestic church, after all. We call the home life the domestic church. So how does the faith help you do that? 833-288-3986. And I would say with regard to the after show, I would ask everyone for your prayers because there's a lot of logistics that we're trying to work out in terms of how we produce the show, how we get it over to the internet, and how we we want to make sure that you have a way to interact, not just with comments, but live, maybe video with audio. So there's a lot going on there. So keep that in your prayers if you would.
Third Millennium Media presents Debbie Georgianni.
The world tells us not to be merciful, and we as Catholic Christians are called to take a step back and look at it in a different way. We must practice mercy, especially if we want to receive mercy.
Debbie Georgianni, co-host of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, wants to visit your parish retreat or conference. Invite Debbie Georgianni today online at thirdmillenniummedia.com.
Father John Riccardo.
In our culture, the commandments are looked at as burdens because, for many of us, we only learn the commandments by rote memorization. Well, the commandments change drastically when a child or an adult learns that, do you know where the Israelites were before they got the commandments? They were slaves in a desert making bricks. God dramatically rescued them from there, released them from the tyranny of Pharaoh, through great signs and wonders, brought them out of that land of affliction, parted the Red Sea so that they could go through it and escape Pharaoh's armies that were pursuing, brought them into the Promised Land after feeding them with manna in the desert, and on the way to the Promised Land stopped at Sinai and gave them the 10 Commandments. Now, if you really think God wanted to keep us in slavery and that the commandments are restrictions to our freedom, he would have just left them in Egypt to then bring them to a mountain and say, okay, well, I really don't want you that happy.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
This is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgianni with Jerry Usher. And you are the key person here, the most important person. So we need to hear from you. There is one open phone line. Jump on it right now and share about your happy home at 833-288-3986. Just real quickly, Jerry, I just wanted to highlight EWTN Bookmark with Doug Keck, Saturday, 4:30 Eastern Time. Amazing. Doug Keck does such a great job, and it's a very, very important show for all of us to understand what's out there for us, the resources, the tools, everything for us to deepen our faith, to move on this great spiritual journey. And Doug Keck does a great job. Folks, Saturday, 4:30 Eastern Time. And Jerry, real quickly, we're getting some comments via text message saying if you don't have Facebook, is the after show going, are people going to be able to participate if they don't have Facebook? Is it a platform that's universal that we're going to be able to?
Yeah, I don't know if you have to have a Facebook account or not. I think you just have to be able to go to the Jerry and Debbie Facebook page. So we're working that out, and we're also hopefully going to be on YouTube. And I'm looking at a program right now that allows us to produce the after show and send it out to multiple different platforms. So I think Skype is included in that, and several others. So that's why I put out the plea for prayers, because I have almost 39 years in the radio business, but the video side of things, TV side of things, I've got to ramp up on. So, and I wanted to mention just real quickly with regard to Bookmark with Doug Keck. There's millions and millions of books out there, and for those of you who are readers, you probably look at the different faith books, and it's like a buffet. You'd like to treat yourself to every single one of them. But Doug is able to take you inside the covers of these books, and that way you get an idea what's in there. And so I agree with you, Debbie. It's a very important program.
Absolutely. Okay, let's hear what Jill has to say. She's listening in Michigan on Baraga Radio. Hi, Jill. Thanks for being first up, and welcome to Take Two.
Oh, hello. I'm so excited to talk to you about this. I'm glad you have this topic about ways to make a happy home. And, Jerry, you just gave me the lead in. You said, tell us about ways to bring God and faith into your home. Good. And there's something I've used for decades. It's called the refrigerator prayer list. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before.
I have not, but I can't wait to hear more about it, so please tell us.
Okay. It's a piece of paper that you put, that you draw a line down the middle. On one side you put petition, on the other side you put thanksgiving. And then you post it on your refrigerator, and then I'm always losing a pen. So then I take a pen and I tape it to a ribbon, and I tape that to a magnet, and I put it on the refrigerator. So when I hear, like on the news, about disasters, school shootings, whatever things that need prayer, or if a friend calls me because she's worried about a pregnancy or a child or whatever, I say, okay, you're going on the refrigerator prayer list. Let me write it right now. So then I write it right at the time, and then I date it. And I'll tell them, okay, well, every time I open up the refrigerator door now, or almost every time I open up the refrigerator door, I am going to say a prayer for you and everybody else that's on the refrigerator prayer list. So on the top of all my lists, I automatically put family, friends, church, and Christians. So that's what I put across the top. So then when someone calls, then I write them down, and you include the children in on this. She'll say, "Oh, let's look at the refrigerator prayer list. Oh, look, so and so just called because someone's having an open heart operation. So let's put them down." So then we put it down on the refrigerator prayer list, and then when we pray, when we pray grace or night prayers, and we remember everybody that's on the refrigerator prayer list. And then periodically we go back and take a look at the refrigerator prayer list and see what has happened. And then we can see how God has worked. And not exactly in our way or in our time, but how he's worked. And then the children can see that God is present and he is there and with them, and that he does change things and he does know about it. And so it's a tangible way. And periodically I will review the whole list and say, oh, look at this. So-and-so, they didn't get into the college that they wanted to, but they got in this good college and it was better after all. So to be able to point to the children and show them that God does hear our prayers and that we pray together. And a funny thing is that I'm getting older and I'm forgetting a lot of things, and I forget about what's happening in people's lives. So when they call and I talk to them, I go, oh, there was something I was going to pray for. So I go over to the refrigerator and I go, oh, look at this. And I tell them, I've been praying for you since June about this. How is your daughter doing? And so it just it increases my faith, it increases the family faith, and the kids can participate they can write the stuff down, they can decorate the refrigerator prayer list, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, that's been something that's really worked for me for decades.
Right. Well, Jill, text messages are coming in already as you were speaking, saying that you are just precious. Everybody's loving your idea, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. And let me just share something that I just wanted to, that you probably thought of this, Jill. Okay, a lot of people have prayer corners and prayer tables, and a special place in their house where they have these prayer tables set up, which is beautiful. And everybody really should have some place like that where they can focus on prayer. What I love about putting it on the refrigerator, Jerry, you know where I'm going to go with this. Okay, the refrigerator is the most used appliance. You know, everybody, right? People go to the refrigerator when they're bored. They go when they're craving something. When something's bothering them, what do? You go to the refrigerator. You open the door. How many times does your parents say, "Close that refrigerator door. You're wasting, you're wasting energy." It's so true. But what I love about it is, think about this for a second, Jill. I bet you, when you just, kind of mindlessly travel to the refrigerator you're kind of craving something, okay? So you open the door, but yet you see that prayer list, and all of a sudden now your focus is on God. And how beautiful is that? Jill, I love every aspect of that, and I hope you don't mind, but I wrote it down. I'm going to incorporate it immediately in our home. I thank you so very, very much.
Well, you're welcome. And it also shows children over time. I keep the old. It's not. I keep my old papers, and I go, "Oh, look at this, look at this, look at it." And then I will say to people on the phone, even when I ask them about it, and they say, "Well, the baby's going to be okay, but there's going to be some problems and be long term." And and I say, "Okay, but the baby's going to be okay. We didn't get exactly what we wanted, but look how God works." A friend of mine used to have an expression. What did she call it about? I wrote it down about the pattern of God working in our lives. I go back and I look over this, and especially when I'm feeling down, and God, you never are you there, God? And I can go back and I can look over it, and I say, look, there is a pattern here. There's a pattern of God's love and care and His supremacy over everything. Yeah. And he is with us. He really is with us. He is here. If the children grow up with this, then it'll just sort of become ingrained in them.
Yeah, for sure. I can't add to what Debbie said, Jill, except we go to the refrigerator a lot. Debbie, you mentioned some of those other things. Obviously, there's the 3 times a day. When we're preparing meals, and that is not just a one-time opening the door, but many multiple times. So, Jill, thank you very much. I'm sure you've given a lot of people a great idea as to how they can keep prayer first and foremost in front of them. Especially Debbie, like she said, you don't remember the people you want to pray for, necessarily by name, and after a while you forget about those. But if you got them written down, whether it's on the refrigerator, with dates, whether it's on the fridge or a bathroom mirror or something like that. So, Jill, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, we're talking about a happy home today. Is yours a happy home? We hope so. And what are the keys to keeping it that way? 833-288-3986. Next up is Chris in Raleigh, North Carolina. Hello, Chris. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hey there, Jerry. Can you hear me all right?
Very well. You got a great connection. They're very clear.
Oh, well, thank you. It's great to get to talk to you guys. Like I said, I've listened to the show a couple times. I'm a pretty new listener, but this was a topic that I really felt like I had something to share. So I just have a little story to tell if you guys have the time.
Well, sure. If you can, don't get too long there, Chris. But go ahead and share it. We'd love to hear it.
Okay. Well, I'll try to keep it short and straight to the point. When I was a kid, and I'm in my early 30s now, and I have a beautiful wife and 2 kids. But when I was a young kid, I remember every October, every fall, we would always start off the season with the Feast of St. Francis, and it was something that was really important to me as a kid, and it was a big family event, and everyone would always come out, and we would talk about St. Francis of Assisi, and we would talk about all the sacraments, and we would talk about the saints, and it was a beautiful bonding experience. But then I remember one year when I think I was 9, I had an uncle who's kind of not with the family anymore, and he he touched me, and he did some things that made me feel very uncomfortable. And then for a while, I was really doubting my faith in God because I was so young and I was so impressionable. And I was like, oh, my goodness, if I can't trust my family, who can I trust? And it was something that stayed with me when I was in my later years as well. And I was really insecure about it, but I really wanted to believe in God because I felt like I had a real connection with him. And so I went to church every Sunday. I went and I had a prayer group. I prayed every day. And I almost really lost faith, but I was looking at, I remember seeing but then I realized if God was willing, I know he has a plan. And even if 9 million children under the age of 5 have to die a year for God's plan to work, for me to not burn, I'm okay with that because it means that he really does love me. And now I've been baptized in the word of the Lord. I believe in God. I pray every day. And now we do the St. Francis feast. It's a big family event. All my family still does it. And it's one of those things that really showed me, even through hardship, God will stay for you and God will be loyal. And so I wanted to say that I know not a lot of people do the feasts anymore. Not a lot of people recognize all the patron saints. But if people don't do feasts as a family, I think they really should, because not only is there Christmas and Easter, but there's so many holidays in which we can love and serve God.
Right. Well, Chris, thank you for your call and beautiful story there. We appreciate that, and I'm sorry that you experienced what you did when you were younger. If you were, well, you said you're a new listener to the program. If you were a regular listener, you'd know I had somewhat of a similar experience when I was about 10 years of age. But yeah, the feasts, Debbie, feasts in the church, and it's so important because we're talking about happiness. What makes us most happy? God makes us most happy, and we have our older brothers and sisters and the saints to look at, and their lives were not always peachy and rosy and all of that, but they persevered. And Chris is a man who persevered. You persevered, Chris, and you kept God first and foremost in your life. And Debbie, that is the key. No matter what we have to go through, the turmoils, the tragedies, the abuses, the traumas, the wounds, if we somehow, by God's grace, manage to keep him first in our lives, then we're going to have a certain happiness that may not be, we may not walk around, skipping and jumping and smiling and laughing, doing cartwheels, but deep down inside, where it matters most, that is where that happiness is going to reside. And Debbie, it sounds like Chris has that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Chris. And I just wanted to say, thank you so much for acknowledging the saints. We can learn so much from the saints, and they're there to help us, and they're more alive now than ever. And they want us to see the face of God someday when our life's purpose has ended here on earth. And it's a beautiful thing. But as you were speaking, Chris, I just wanted to say, your wife and your children, your two kids, they are so lucky to have you as their as husband and father. You are amazing. I wish I could bottle you up and send you around to all the 30-year-olds and say, look, you need to follow Chris's lead, because you have an extraordinary view on life. You've been through so much, and yet, like Jerry said, you've kept God first and foremost. Your wife and your children are very lucky. I just wanted to say thank you for being a strong head of the household. It's very, it just makes me happy about, the future generations of our faith. And I just want to say thank you, Chris, very much.
And thank you also to everyone who's listening. I just wanted to say, God bless everyone, and God's not real.
God's not real? What do you mean, Chris? Are you there, Chris?
I'm sorry. I got to go.
Okay. Okay, looks like Chris might have had a little prank up his sleeve there, but we appreciate you listening nonetheless, Chris, and if you're still with us, we're going to be praying for you, brother, and we ask that you do the same. You really might want to consider drawing close to God, so thank you, Chris.
Wow. Well, yeah, let's all pray for Chris. Let's pray for Chris. Yeah, there's a lot of pain there.
Yeah, there is, and it's unfortunate that, somebody, he called and he sounded so, genuine and sincere. And, I'm sure he sounded that way to Ryan. And then he comes on the program. I don't know if he was joking at the end of that call or not, but I think in either case, we can certainly keep him in our prayers. And all people, Debbie, if he genuinely experienced some of these things that he did, then maybe he does believe what he said at the end of that call, that God is not real. But Chris, we can vouch for the fact that God is real, even though we've been through a lot of very difficult things in our lives. God has sustained us through them. So,
well, and you know what Chris's call tells me, Jerry? We're in a place in this world where a lot of people are carrying things that they're not sure how to reconcile it within themselves. We've got to pray, folks. I mean, we've got to get clear-headed and clear thinking about God. It's very important. We really need to ask our Blessed Mother to help us. Because we've got a lot of people that are hurting. And so, well, that's what the Take Two family is all about. We're a family, and ours is a happy home here on Take Two. And so we want to hear about your happy home at 833-288-3986.
Father Benedict Groeschel.
No Catholic can support abortion, and that Catholics are responsible to take serious action against legalized abortion.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
And this is an EWTN bookmark brief. I just had the pleasure of speaking with Christopher J. Scalia, who was one of the editors of the book Antonin Scalia on Faith, Lessons from an American Believer, published by Crown, available through the EWTN Religious Catalog. This book on faith, how did it come about, and was it something your father intended to do?
This book is something my father was working on really shortly before he passed away. So this collection includes a number of speeches he delivered to religious audiences, and also speeches and court opinions about the place of religion in American life, and particularly the role that the Founding Fathers created for religious expression and the important place they made for it at the founding.
The book is on faith.
Thank you.
Antonin Scalia, and that's Christopher J. Scalia, who edited it along with Ed Whalen. It's available through the EWTN Religious Catalog, EWTNRC.com. Look for the entire interview coming soon on the network. And this has been an EWTN Bookmark Brief.
Morning Glory. It's Catholic from coast to coast.
When you're accustomed to the darkness, the bright light seems harsh. And when you hate the truth sounds hateful. There's an old saying I've heard, that hell is hot, but heaven is hotter. The blazing place of God's love. And you got to get used to the temperature of glory, and you got to be used to the brightness of glory.
Morning Glory. Talking about everything important to today's Catholic. Tomorrow morning, 7 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Hi, this is Janet Williams. We embrace the essence of feminine spirituality on Women of Grace tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern here on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Thank you so much for being with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Jerry Usher, Debbie Georgianni, and the show team. Don't forget, this is a very, very much a team effort, a family effort, if you will. We've got Jeff Burson on the controls today, and he does the social media. Ryan Penny is screening your calls. And Rich Jesse, lucky guy, he's got a beautiful wife, Laura, and now their second child just was born the other day, actually nearly a couple weeks ago. So Rich will be back with us soon. And the Michaels, Michael McCall, and who's the other one, Debbie? Forgive me. Michael Birchfield, yeah.
Birchfield, yeah.
Birchfield, yeah. Mm-hmm. So many people help out with the show. I just have trouble keeping all their names straight at my advancing age.
Right. Me too. Jerry, I'm getting a lot of text messages. Let's just clarify something so we don't get a lot of emails.
Sure.
The previous caller, Chris, we thought he was going in one direction, totally focused on God, but obviously there was some mixed messages there, things he was saying we weren't picking up on. Folks, let's everybody just pray for Chris. Okay, please just pray for Chris. Okay, he sounds like he's hurting, and we don't entertain stuff like this because it's not beneficial for us. It doesn't help help us move the conversation forward. So we'll pray for him and move forward. And please forgive us if we didn't pick up on everything he said, because we thought he was going in one direction, but he was going in another. That happens.
Well, yeah, and we were just talking during the break there. I think we did sort of pick up on a couple of things he said, but I was asking myself, did I just hear that right? And sometimes you don't know, because Debbie and I are multitasking. You know, we're taking your calls and talking with you and checking email and text and social media. So,
Right.
yeah. Anyway, good clarification there, Debbie. Appreciate that.
Well, that's what we try to do. We're very, we want to just focus on God. That is the mission here on Take Two. So let's hear who's up next? Do I have the right order?
Melissa. Yeah, Melissa's next. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, Melissa in California, listening on the EWTN app. Hi, Melissa. Welcome.
Hello. I'm calling in this morning in memory of my grandmother. She was always the glue to our family. Her name was Carmen, named after Our Lady of Mount Carmel, because she was born on the feast day of Mount Carmel. And I just wanted to call in today because now her passing a couple of weeks ago, tomorrow is her funeral. And this lady was the strong pillar that held everyone together. She was always strong. We could always call her for, like Jill mentioned earlier, to add us to her prayer list, to add our friends and, colleagues to her prayer list. And she was a very devout Catholic that taught us to go to Mass every Sunday and every chance we had to pray the Rosary and the Divine Mercy Chaplet. This strong lady has now passed, and I just wanted to know, how can we keep our families together, the peace and love within us, the unity of the family that she taught us, and just to basically keep our faith, because right now it's a really hard for us, but at the same time, we're looking through pictures and of experiences we had with her, how she taught us to cook tamales and all of those traditional menudo, all of those Mexican dishes. And so I'm just calling in today to let people know that, to hold on to those memories, those recipes and things like that, that those elderly teach us at their young age, and they try to pass it on to us, and we're always so busy with technology and other things. So I just wanted to know, how can we help to keep the peace and love within our family, even though right now that she's passed, people are angry at each other and upset, thinking of material things instead of family.
Right, absolutely. Well, you guys are going through the grieving process, and we're so sorry. We're so sorry for your loss. I entered your grandmother's name, Carmen, in our prayer books, and your whole entire family, Melissa. So just so you know that, and we're with you in spirit as you go through this next couple days and weeks, as you are, mourning the loss of your grandmother, who was so influential in keeping your family together. Okay, but here's the exciting news. Okay, I want you to focus on this when you get through all the sadness of losing your grandmother. Okay. She's passed the baton on to somebody in your family, okay? Who's going to grab it? Who's going to pick it up? Okay? Your grandmother did not want this to die with her. She obviously did this with your family because she cares about the legacy of your family. So somebody else needs to rise up and continue grandma's traditions and everything she's done. And there's ways you can do it. You have to schedule it. You schedule time together to cook together. You schedule time of talking about grandma's different advice techniques and things she's handed down. Do a family book together. Okay. And I just felt the Holy Spirit on that one. Melissa, there's something there. Do a family book together of all grandma's different things she imparted to the family. Somebody needs to pick up the torch and run with it. Okay. And so here's how you could decide who it is. Get your family together after everybody's done grieving and crying and the sadness and all the material things, like you said, happens when people die. And that happens. That's human nature. And then maybe even pray about it and even draw straws or something. We're going to say, hey, somebody's going to take the lead for this year. But we're going to continue grandma's traditions. You can do it, Melissa. I've seen it done in big families. It works. If everybody just goes their separate ways, it's going to split apart. And your grandmother, she didn't want that for you guys. That's why she worked so hard to keep it together. What do you think? Do you think you could be up for that challenge?
Yes, definitely.
Beautiful.
I thank you very much, both of you, for your show.
Well, Melissa, thank you. You are the show, really, you and the other listeners in the Take Two family. All I could add to what Debbie said is, what a blessing you all enjoyed in having this matriarch of your family. It's very rare these days when you have somebody, generational thing where you're able to, kind of figuratively sit at their feet and learn from them and learn love from them and learn all kinds of things about life from them. So I know you're very grateful for that. I would just say, like Debbie said, keep reminding yourself and the other members of your family about your grandmother and what a beautiful gift she was. And you mentioned she was named after Our Lady of Mount Carmel. So I would just say, keep her involved in all of this. Be very quick and frequent to go to Our Lady of Mount Carmel, whose feast day is July 16th. And she will certainly not let you down. She will help you out for sure. So thank you, Melissa, for your call. Appreciate it so much.
God bless you.
And you.
Okay. Should we move on to Roy in Cleveland, Ohio, listening on The Rock? Hi, Roy.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie. How are you today?
Doing well.
Pretty
How
well,
are you?
Roy. Thanks.
Good. We've got some great guests. I love the refrigerator idea. I'm going to use it. The grieving recommendations were excellent. And I think we might even want to thank Chris, because what he pointed out to us was that we're in a battle and we're often deceived and our faith is challenged. And you just gave us a very good example of how to face that challenge, because our families are under attack, each of us as individual members, as well as a family in whole.
That's
I think that what I wanted to say was that for a contribution, it is possible for us to look at secular and non-secular. The family is a system, and as a system and hemostasis, it can become tilted. But we have a natural cause inside of ourselves to upright when things get tilted. I guess an example would be when a mother is focusing on a child with addiction and really because of her own depression has to give all of herself to that, and therefore the other members of the family may not receive the same level of care and love and understanding during that time. So that's the tilting that we're speaking about. Each family member plays a role. Understanding our roles in the family are very important also. And multidimensional, what kind of family practice to ask for? You got to be careful, because some people in the behavioral health field are not very religious and are actually opposed to their therapies being blended with good spiritual practices. So you really have to be guarded when you let a therapist in. But in asking for somebody that has faith-based is a great first step in screening. The types of family therapy that are available are structure, strategic, and multidimensional, as well as cognitive behavioral therapy. The listening audience can look all of this up by doing a Google search. But when we're talking about our spirituality, wearing the scapular and having the divine mercy in the home, doing a home enthronement, these are all practices that we can use that are very visual. But when the parents do it for the purpose of their faith, this is going to span out into a kind of a contaminant in a positive way to all the members of the family. They'll see it, they'll understand it, they'll live it with the mother and father. The fact is, if we include, and I say the fact is because I live it myself, a consecration of the Blessed Mother is so critically important for the mother and father to use as a way of helping them to guide the family. So that's my contribution.
Wow, Roy. Yeah, that was fantastic, all of it. And thank you for the words about Chris at the beginning. And I'm sure a lot of people are praying for him right now. And, you're talking so very beautifully about the family, which is, as we said earlier in the show, it's the domestic church. And, the parents are a reflection of God to the children, and they are the conduits, really, through whom God is going to be touching the lives of their kids. So it's so important, and we talk about, Debbie, on this show, and Roy, parents, moms and dads, praying together when you can. There are a lot of single parents listening, we understand, but pray as a family, but also couples, Debbie, should be praying together to really unleash the graces of their sacrament within their family. God is waiting to lavish this upon families, and I think sometimes we just get so busy and caught up up that we forget to really take that time to get on our knees and say, Lord, we can't do any of this without you. So,
Absolutely. Roy, I wrote down so quickly. I'm going to have to go back and listen to the show again because you had so much to share with all of us. And I know others are taking notes as well. We've got some of our other listeners saying they need to take their iPads with them and be taking notes. I mean, this is the good stuff, and we need to hear this. You know, we're all kind of facing the same things, and we have to take just kind of breathe for a moment and realize we're in a precious environment, and there's so many things that can be done and should be done. And you're right, it just to unleash those graces. Roy, thank you so much, and thank you for the affirming words. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. One other thing I wanted to mention was the Lord's giving us his understanding of how we show him our faith. And in speaking to St. Faustina, he said, indifference pains my heart. So sometimes we think, well, we might not want to do it or we don't see the value in it. We need to understand that indifference is one of the swords that goes into our Lord. Mm-hmm. Let's not be indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Amen, Roy. Thank you so much. Appreciate your contribution to the program. And everybody, we got emails coming in and text. I wanted to read an email, Debbie, if I may, from one of our dear regular listeners, Sarah in Edgerton, Ohio, listens on Annunciation Radio. Thank you, Sarah. She says, Dear Jerry and Debbie, happy is one of those words that seems to me to be relative. Many people seem to hang their happiness on the behavior of others. I would rather describe our home as a peaceful home. I attribute that to my husband. Sarah says, I was raised in a dysfunctional family that stemmed from alcoholism. There was always fighting in the home. After I got married, I tried to fight with my husband over a small incident. He took me in his arms, looked directly at me, and asked, why? He continued to explain that arguing and fighting did not enhance our lives, so why fight? That was about 3 weeks after our wedding. I can honestly say we do not fight, and overall, there have been few times when we were on, anyway, that sentence ends there, but she says, I'm grateful that we have been able to raise our children in this calm environment. They really do not know how blessed they are. You're right, Sarah. They do not know how blessed they are because there's so much strife within families. Maybe there was so much in mine growing up and everybody else's. Yeah, it helps to shape who we are as adults. Mm-hmm. You know, we look at all the problems in the world and we think, oh, so-and-so chose to be, alcoholic or drug addict. Someone chose to, beat his wife or something. Yeah, those are choices, but there's almost always something underlying those, anger, fear, wounds, things like that. They just need the healing grace of God. So we need to pray for families now more than ever. Absolutely.
Okay, let's hear what Reed has to say in Houston, Texas on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Reed. Welcome.
Hi. I just wanted to call and say I was in a divorce when my only son was 2. And I had to learn a couple things. One was I really tried very hard. I never said anything negative about his father, and I tried to keep his father and his paternal grandparents very strongly in the picture. So we agreed to stay in the same state, and we passed him back and forth every month and had very generous visiting privileges, like over the summer and Thanksgiving alternated and stuff like that. The other thing was when he hit the terrible 2s, I had to face the problem. A lot of women raising kids try to be kind all the time, but I had to learn to be the enforcer as well as the one who loved him, and it really happened when he hit the terrible 2s. And then I had to rethink something else because my mother would put up with us, and then throw a terrifying temper tantrum, which to small children is really terrifying. Mm-hmm. So I decided I would slap his hand, and I probably did it 4 times in his entire life, but I was consistent about it. I'd slap his hand and then I'd give him a hug. And that led to, we had a wonderful relationship. He even told one of my sisters that I'm his best friend. And he continues to have wonderful input from his dad, and I thought we always had a happy home. But the only reason I wanted to call is I think a lot of women fall into those 2 mistakes. Don't say anything negative about the father, keep that relationship up, and the paternal grandparents, and then be willing to be the bad guy as well as the good guy.
Well, and also, a lot of people too say, I want to be my children's best friend, and we're parents first. I mean, and it sounded like you maintained that, with your son. So, may we ask? So, how is he today? Like when he reflects back on his childhood, what does he say about it, Reed?
I think there was always a little bit of sadness about the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that. But he's very strong. He's 42 now, and he's a very honorable, strong, religious person. And so, I think he's 1 in 1,000, and we're still good friends.
You're very proud of your son, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I am. I love him very much.
Oh, well, I hope he's listening, because that's beautiful to hear a mother's love. Go ahead, Jerry.
Well, I was just going to say, Reed, you sound like a great mom, and my mother, too, raised 5 of us as a single mom. She did remarry twice after she divorced my dad. The first stepfather, beautiful, lovely, wonderful, beautiful soul, unfortunately passed away when we were still young, and then my mother remarried again, and that didn't work out, and I wasn't sorry that didn't work out. But anyway, and it takes just really a special woman, and, you're very, you're blessed by God. I'm sure you use God as your sort of your spouse, Jesus as your spouse, to help you raise your family, and it sounds like your son turned out really great. So kudos to you, Reed. Congratulations on that, and I'm so glad that you have that beautiful relationship with him still to this day. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you so much for calling in and contributing to this beautiful conversation we're having. We appreciate it very, very much. We're grateful. That's what Nick would tell me to say, right, Jerry? Nick said I should say we're grateful. Okay. Think if you're listening, I think it was Nick who said that.
Right. Yeah, right. You know what? This is interesting. We had Chris on earlier, and we're still trying to decipher, his motives. Was he a prank? Was he somebody real who just, is searching? Is he hurting or whatever? And our call screener Ryan just said that somebody else just tried to, call in as a prank caller and get past Ryan. And I would just say, if you've got any issues or anything, just call in and be honest. We will talk with you about the faith and why we believe what we do. And if you're opposed to it, if you have any issues going on, we'll be happy to talk about that. But here's the one thing everybody needs to realize, there's a broadcast delay that's set up anyway. I don't know if it's 5, 10, 15 seconds, but if somebody, for those of you who don't understand that, if you wanted to call into a radio show and just say something really off the wall or negative or rude or something, it's probably not going to get on the air anyway. So
right.
Just be a waste of time.
Well, and I just want to say something too, because I'm the mother of 2 adult young men now. They're adults now. One's almost 30 and the other one's 23. And I just want to say something that, you're not going to rile us. You're not going to, shake our faith by saying something, really outlandish about God. Or it's not going to shake us, so it's really a waste of time. I'll be honest with you. I just have to say that because I hear it all the time. I mean, you can hear it even on the streets. Just walk and go out in public and people will say things if they see you have a cross on or something. It doesn't shake my faith at all. So, it's kind of a waste of time. Do something more productive, I would say. Right, Jerry?
Yeah, but don't shy away from making an honest call. We would love to have you on the program. Before we get back to the calls, I want to mention Church Pop, churchpop.com. It's a service of EWTN, by the way, and you're going to find stuff on Church Pop that you're not going to find on any other information source. It's got some newsy stuff, but also some humorous stuff, some very off the wall things that we don't know about our faith that they uncover, our beautiful Catholic faith. So you can sign up to get a reminder in your inbox every day at churchpop.com, and I encourage people to do that. It's a little bit of lighter stuff sometimes too. So,
okay, who are we headed to, Marie? Marie in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Marie. Welcome.
Hello. I've been listening about people talking about young people and their loss of faith or they're questioning their faith. And I am going through that situation right now with a young adult child. But I am not preaching. I am not pushing. I am letting go and letting God. I have a devotion to Padre Pio, and I am trying to bring grace into our lives, whether they want to accept it or not. I've been on the list to bring home Our Lady of Fatima statue for weeks now. And I get to pick up our statue tomorrow to honor Mary, and it's on Mother's Day weekend. And also, I think the anniversary of Fatima is May 13th, which is Monday. So there's ways to bring grace into your home without preaching to your child. Show them by example, not by words. And, I think the secular world is just sucking them in. You know, God's not popular, but, 100 likes on Instagram is, So you just got to try different things, and maybe their roots of morals and values will wake them up someday.
Absolutely. That's exactly where I was going to go, Marie. You sound like someone who you planted the seeds, you've watered those seeds, and as Deacon Harold, our Burke Sivers, our good friend, says, we need to plant seeds and then just get out the door, get out of God's way. So you've done what you were asked to do by God, Marie, and the rest is up to God. And sometimes, a lot of parents really feel this urgency, this responsibility to sort of, guarantee and assure that their kids never waver in their faith, never go down a wrong path or whatever. And, we all do that, almost every one of us. It's almost inevitable. You've planted those seeds, and now, what do they say, Debbie? You're going to catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
let go and let God.
Yeah, let go and just.
It's not my soul. It's not my soul. It's their soul. If they don't want to live a life of faith, it's their life. And you've got to get to the point where someday, somehow, they'll wake up. And I think we've all questioned our faith or missed Mass or not been a regular attendee of confession. But sooner or later, they will wake up to their morals and values.
Well, all I want to say real quickly, Marie, is remember 9/11, what happened in 9/11 when the Twin Towers were taken down. Everybody ran to the churches. They ran. Hadn't been in a church in a long time, and they ran to the churches. So you're right about that. It's going to take something that's unfortunately could be very painful, maybe a lot of suffering, maybe even death, but that's what'll wake their soul up to realize it needs to get back to God. I couldn't agree with you more, Marie.
Right. And this week, tomorrow, the Abby Johnson from the Unplanned movie is going to be in Philadelphia at a Planned Parenthood center. I guess there's a senator who's been very vocal, senator or congressman in Pennsylvania. So, people are rallying.
Yep.
They are. Yeah, well, I had heard about that event that Abby Johnson was going to be at. Our prayers will certainly be with you in that. And, Debbie, it just gets us back to, thank you, Marie, for the call. Just gets us back again to the need to really fight for the family right now. Our Lady of Fatima, what did she say? The last great battle is going to be over the family. And, we've heard so many great takes on the program today, but, families are really up against it right now. And God wants to restore the family, and we really need to do all that we can to, be out in front and helping with that.
Absolutely. More prayer. We got to ramp up the prayers. We have to be very intentional in our prayers. I strongly feel that, Jerry. And the other thing, too, is God's an easy target right now in the world. He's an easy target. If you just noticed, you just turn on any show right now, God's an easy target. It's really, really quite sad what has happened to this world. So I think prayer will bring it back, or at least help us get back on track, Jerry.
Yeah, Steve in Boston, we got 60 seconds, Steve. We're going to go to you on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Feel free to be as brief as you can, Steve. Welcome.
Thank you. I'll be as brief as I can. I just wanted to applaud the caller, Reed, that called about her relationship with her son, and especially her cultivation, encouraging and continued cultivation of her son's relationship with his father and his father's family, and the importance of that. I attended many programs for men's retreats, and many men with same-sex attraction bring up this issue that they felt that their mothers disparaged their fathers and that they had a hard time connecting with the masculinity in their own life that they longed for, and that this is a very important issue, and I really applaud her for having the strength to realize that, despite probably some real pain in her own life that she got divorced, and just wanted to thank her for commenting on that and just kind of underline the importance of it.
Thank you, Steve. Good note to end the conversation on, Debbie, and we go in a very different direction tomorrow on Take Two.
I'm talking about patience. I mean, has the world provided you opportunities to build that virtue of patience? Let's talk about that tomorrow on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Yeah, don't forget to go over to Facebook. It's Jerry and Debbie on Facebook. And you can email us anytime you'd like, take2@EWTN.com. Thanks to the show team, thanks to the affiliates, and thank you May you have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.